Welcome to Lock Journey Conversations.
The conversation is just to educate you and talk about locks in general.
All types of locks, all types of hair types, all types of densities.
Angie wants you to know that we are master locksmiths.
Yes, I like that.
We want you to be able to embrace your journey. You're going to be comfortable in your own skin.
The comfort, the love of locks. We're going to give you everything you need to know on locks. You can't get better than that. Oh, look at that.
Okay. All right. We're ready.
Hello, it's Shayla.
I'm Lee.
And it's your girl, Angela.
We are Lock Journey Conversations.
Well, today we have some things for you. We are going to talk about phases and stages of locks.
Yes.
We didn't mean to rhyme that, but the phases and stages of locks. And the first one we're going to start off today talking about is starter. So the newly established locks.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to chime in and tell us what are starter locks? What is the first stage?
So what we don't want to do is call them the ugly stage.
Yeah.
But those are the ones where you just got them established. They look like tiny braids, and they are really just they're a lot thinner than what you're used to seeing with people that are walking around with their locks. So yeah.
I would agree. Whether it's micro lock or sister lock, even on the traditional lock, it can be the comb coils, the beginning stage. Mm-hmm. Just getting that hair wrapped and tightly wrapped.
Yeah. It'll still be thinner.
Exactly. It's all going to start off small. Most folks think they look like little porcupines in the beginning. So that's your starter lock stage.
I think it's important that we share that when we first finish our establishment on their heads, their locks are normally straight. They're kind of straight because we just did it, right? We're interlocking. They're pretty straight. They're frizzy on the ends. Yes. So they're not the most attractive when you first do it, because I know that clients sit in our chairs and they say, my sister wants to see my hair. My friend wants me to take a picture. You might not want to send a picture of the first one unless you're just trying to keep it documented. And not that it's not cute. It's just that it hasn't done its thing yet, right?
Not at all.
So it's a starter lock. We just started them, so it's straight. It's usually not, like we said in previous podcasts, that is not until the first shampoo. I believe that Lee elaborated on that. Man. To the first shampoo that you start to see the coil on the end of your natural hair. Your locks start to shrink a bit, and then it starts to get a little bit fuller, so they start filling out, if for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say with my starter locks, when I got them installed, I started with like a little bit over 13 inches of hair. Mm-hmm. And when I got home that night, it was up here.
It was about 10 inches, about 10 inches.
Yeah. So it doesn't even take water. Sometimes it just shrinks on its own because it's going to go back to its natural state. Yeah. Regardless of what you've done, it's going to go back into the natural state.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what would you say they look like if they're newly established and they're just traditional locks?
Well, most folks think like, what was that movie? The horror movie, what was it? Hellraiser?
Yeah. With the pins.
Yeah.
Especially, that's if they're real short, then yes.
Yes. Yeah. If they're real short with the traditional locks, that's kind of what they always have said. It reminds them of the guy from Hellraiser. Yeah. And really spacey, really gappy. And they don't like that. People don't like that space.
Yeah,
that
and
gap.
it doesn't last forever. It's just a temporary look. No. That's why we ask you in consultations about workplace and significant others, because you go home and they're just like, okay, what did you get? And it does evolve, right?
Yes, it does.
That's what I paid for.
Yeah. Give it time. Tell them they'll fluctuate, but they're going to look good in the end. Yeah.
Well, we talked about the starter, and now the next phase would be budding. And budding, as Shayla elaborated on another podcast, but we're just going to bring it to this one as well, is that budding is that little ball on the end of your locks that forms. It's usually, and this is depending on the type of hair, a few months into it. So maybe 6-7 months down the road, you may start to see these little balls on the end of your locks, and that is called budding. That budding stage is a really important stage.
Very.
And can you guys just elaborate on why the budding is so important?
Well, I would just go back to say, like what I tell my clients, you have to have the bud in order for the lock to start forming. The bud is the first stage of the formation. That bud starts, and then it starts to inch its way up the lock. So the lock is budding all the way up to the root. So you have to leave that bud there. But like I said before, the bud may start to hang. It may fall off. It's okay. It'll form again. But just know that that's the whole process, okay? Because your locks don't start at the root. They start at the ends, okay? So it's very important to keep the bud on there.
And in case you guys didn't hear what she just said, it starts at the end and work to the root, which is why when you come back to us, it's called a retightening. We retighten the root of the hair and not the end of the hair.
Correct.
The end of the hair is where we actually start your lock, which is why the banding and braiding process is good. It's important, correct?
And this is for any interlocking. This is not the case for the traditional ones.
No,
Great
not at
point.
all.
Yeah.
Not
Great
at all.
point.
Yeah, because I think we said before, traditional locks, you can go forever without a palm roll or a retwist. So, yeah.
The next phase and stage of locks would be the frizzy stage. Each retighten allows the frizz to be wrapped around back into the lock. So the frizzy stage is a stage that most people don't like. Some people embrace it.
Not like it.
Some people embrace it because it's their natural hair and it's kind of formy. But a lot of people are like, how can I get rid of the frizz?
Yes,
So
they
what do you tell your clients?
Okay, well, I tell my clients, I tell them to embrace the frizzy stage. One thing it's going to do, especially if you have thin hair, is give you a fuller look.
Yes.
It definitely gives you that full feel. I have clients who like the frizzy stage, but if you want to you can't eliminate it. You can't do that. You need the frizzy stage. But if you want to kind of control the frizzy stage, it goes back to you just tying your hair down at night.
Yeah.
Braiding it down at night, making sure you tie it down so there's no friction, being caused while you're sleeping. That's the best advice I can give on that. And then a real important understanding with frizz is every time you come in for a retie, we're cleaning up the frizzy stage and it's all those loose hairs go right back into the lock to help it thicken up. So every time I pull your hair through with my tool, that frizziness is wrapping right into that lock. So you need the frizz. You need the frizz to help form it and strengthen the barrier of the lock.
Now, I have had some people that just simply cannot stand the frizziness.
Yeah.
So they'll want you to go through with the scissors and cut the frizz off of there.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of those people who wanted that done.
Really?
And, yeah, my loctician told
I
me,
told you.
why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why you don't need to do that? That's just
Yes.
part of your locks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Something
I left it
extra.
alone. So I tell my clients the same thing.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
Yeah, and
But-
I mean, like, let's use Lee. Lee, if you turn your head to the side a little bit, look at the wall. You see how you don't see frizziness anymore? It's because it helped with the maturity.
Yeah.
So now that her locks are mature, she's not going to have a frizzy stage. So that's why you have to keep the frizz there to wrap around the lock during each retie. To build that
Now
lock.
there is, let's not confuse this with, there is maintenance of locks where
Correct.
we will go up and down the lock and cut off some of the loose hairs. Now that's happened with very mature locks, but when you're fresh in these stages, you don't need to cut off any hair. You
That's
don't need
very
any
good.
maintenance.
That's very
Well,
good.
you know what I do with that, Angie? Even with those with maintenance, normally I find myself, I don't cut. I don't. I actually take my crochet tool and I just crochet that hair into the lock
Okay.
to tighten up the lock, because a lot of y'all say, well, why is it thin here and then thick here? And it's something that you're doing in that process. So if I'm doing some maintenance, I'm tightening up that lock to strengthen that area, that thin area. Yeah,
That's a good
is
point.
what I'm doing with that frizziness.
And then it's also good for people that have really soft hair and
Yes.
for some reason it'll want to grow out of the lock.
Yes.
It's good to use the little crochet hook to push that hair back in there.
Correct.
And especially like around the ears. Now that's common regardless of the texture, especially if you wear glasses
Yes.
because it's rubbing up against there.
Great
and then
point.
you come in and you have this loose hair behind your ears. We're going to incorporate that back into the lock, but then also use the tool to push it back in there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, ladies, on to the next one. So the next phase and stage of the locks is mature locks. So these are fully formed locks. So what do we mean by when we say mature and fully formed? We're talking about a lock that has grown up in a sense. So it is mature. Now you can use other shampoos. You can use oil perhaps or conditioners on your hair. What do you guys normally tell your clients how do you know when your lock is mature?
Well, the loctician should always know when their clients' locks have matured because they've changed. They've evolved. They don't have, again, goes back to that frizzy or that loose textured lock. Or should I say, it's kind of firm. Your lock isn't soft anymore.
And it doesn't look like a braid. Like
Yeah,
it's filled
doesn't-
in.
Exactly. It's filled in. It's actually thick and firm. I should be able to kind of tug on it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Some things you should be able to do. But I can tell just being the loctician when they're ready to go, and then I let them know what they can do as long as you don't abuse it. Like the shampoo.
Our clients usually can tell too because they'll come in
Yeah.
and be like, my hair looks different.
Yeah,
It feels
you can
different
see it.
because it drops
It
versus
does.
when it used to go out this way. Now
Yeah.
it's going down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also give them a time limit to remind me because there's so many people coming through because they are usually banding and braiding for a long time. So I'll tell, depending on the texture, like say in 6 months, ask me if you can stop banding and braiding because usually that's an indicator that, okay, you've entered this other phase.
Yes.
And then I can show them an example of the difference of their hair.
Yes.
And then it also starts in different parts of your hair. Like in the back,
Absolutely.
you'll notice it first.
Yes.
Yeah. There seems
Yes.
to be some of the coarser hair back there
And
sometimes.
it's unbothered. It's just back there. No,
Yeah.
you don't touch it. It's
I
just
think
back there.
I think it's because you lay on it
You think so?
Okay,
I
that
think
might
it's
be
because it's
to create
unbothered. I
that
always
back.
say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
you're not nitpicking and looking at it. And messing
Like
with
the
it all
front, you're
time.
always styling and moving and
Yeah.
playing in it, but the back, you just kind of leave it alone.
Yeah. Well, you touched on something there. You said with the braiding and banding, and I know we spoke on this on another episode. But one thing I encourage with the client during their stages, I try to have my clients actually braid and band a little bit longer than usual. I don't always tell them when they're ready because then they'll go crazy. So, like, what I mean by
That
that
is
is, I have clients that I understand you want to get in there like your loose natural hair and wash and scrub and do. I can't have you scrubbing because what you're doing is ripping hair from that lock. So then when you come in for your retie, I got all this loose hair. Every time I have to part through and recreate a grid that where if you keep it braided and banded and wash it that
Then
way,
it stays.
it controls where the hair goes. It
That's a great
stays
point.
in that lock and it's attached still. And you really should be using the balls of your fingertips. You know what I'm saying? Use the balls of your
It
fingers.
feels so good, though, putting your nails in your
It
scalp.
does, but some of them just not even ready.
No, you're
That is
right.
true. They
You're
do.
right.
They do go buck wild
go
after
crazy.
you tell them, okay, you don't have to band any braid.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right.
yeah.
Then they start putting stuff on there. Oh, I just felt like I needed to put some oil on my hair because it was
Yeah.
like extra dry. Did nobody tell you anything about that?
And you know what happens is you guys end up coming in for your retie, but now you got maintenance attached
Extra
to it.
stuff.
Yes,
And it shouldn't
yes.
even be a maintenance appointment. It should just be a retie appointment.
Yes.
Simple, allow me to
Yes.
go through and retie your lock. Now I got to go recreate a grid because you want to scrub and be loose and free. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we'll let you know when you're ready. Yeah. Mine are too eager.
Well, everybody is. That whole banding and braiding is a process, but
a
you know, a lot of
process.
people don't like it, so
Yeah.
they can't wait to get out of it. The last stage, and I must tell you guys this. Okay, so it's rooted. When you look it up online, it'll say the last stage is rooted. However, the three master lacticians here do not call it rooted.
No.
We don't. We just say once you get mature, you're mature. So we do want to touch on it because it's out there. So we want to make sure that we touch on it. So it basically says the locks are finally established. You had the length and fullness of the lock is visible. So do you tell? So we already agree. We don't tell our clients that now you're rooted, right? Yes.
Because they'll run with that. They'll abuse it. So I'm rooted now. What do you mean? Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So I think it's important to know your verbiage because you're going out as a client and you're talking about where you're at. I don't want you to use the wrong verbiage and you don't even know what it means. You know what I'm saying? So I keep it simple. I say, well, you're in your baby stage. You're in the beginning stage, you know? Well, now you've graduated a little bit. This is where you're at in the middle stage of your locking process. And then I just go to maturity. Once you've hit that mature stage, you have matured. You're good. You can go free. You know what I'm saying? So I keep it simple. Basically simple, stupid for them for that reason, because they start to feel like they can educate you and they can't, you know, and I'm speaking of other clients or other people who have locks.
Right.
And I just want them to keep it simple. Yeah.
I like to share with them about the different stages of how the hair will look. So naturally our hair will grow up and out and then it will fall. So once you get to that mature stage, they will have a little more, it won't be stiff.
No.
Yeah.
Body, lots of body.
Yeah.
Lots of body.
And it'll just flow rather than sticking straight out on your head. Yeah.
And
So
that
that's
comes
good.
along with washing too.
Yes.
Over time.
Once, have you guys noticed that once, and I see this with my clients, once they stop braiding and banding and they shampoo their hair regularly, the locks change a bit. Like they start, that weight of the water somehow pulls them down just a bit and they start to change. And over time, absolutely. So we always tell them that it's so important for them to band and braid. And then that next stage, once they stop doing that, they'll start to see a slight change in their locks. So it's important to have to go through all of those stages and not skip.
Yeah.
And then you have the baby stage, if you will, to the mature stage. So the big difference is when you're in the baby stage, we're going to tell you to use a certain shampoo. We're going to tell you to shampoo your hair at a certain amount of weeks. We have all these rules that you need to follow because you need to protect your investment, correct?
You do.
And then we get to the mature stage where we're pretty much saying, you graduated, good job, we're going to let you go. But that doesn't mean go get all these products and all these things. You hadn't used all these products all this time. So for some people, it's a year. For some people, it's 2 years. For some people, it's 6 months. So you lived without those products all this time. So why on earth would you go and put all of those things in your hair because you heard something or read something or your friend uses something and now your locks are starting to revert or That's
exactly right.
They're starting to digress because they're going backwards now because now you've done some things to your locks that your locks aren't used to and it's unnecessary. So please listen to your loctician. Do not go put all these things in your hair after we let you go, because it is important that you listen to your loctician and the rules that we have given you, because what ultimately happens is that you guys end up coming back to us and asking us, well, what do you do with your hair? What do you do your hair? And now you want to know what to do to go back, and we could just cut all of that out.
Yeah. I tell my clients, and they all will. If one was here, she would be laughing, because I tell my clients, your head is really my head, so your locks are my locks, right? So when you come and sit in my chair, I need them to look like I have educated you for them to look. Right. Don't come in there looking any other kind of way, you know? But I tell them certain things through their stages, because you are our walking billboards.
Yes.
Y'all are our advertisement on a daily basis.
Yes.
So we need you to follow the instruction that the loctician's providing, because especially if it's a good loctician and they're providing you the proper education. Follow those instructions, because it's going to only benefit you in the long run. And then in turn, it helps us. So, yeah. Stick with the process.
I'll say also that, like Shayla is big on pictures, but one reason that the pictures are good is that if you have any question about what phase you're in, just go and look back at those pictures from each of those reties that you had. And that way that'll help you see, oh, I'm seeing some change and it's progressing and I'm moving into another phase.
That's absolutely right. And ask your loctician, if they're like myself, like she mentioned, a picture taker, ask them so you can see your progress. I let all my clients have a portfolio. So I want them to see their progress.
I have one client that takes a picture of her. She has me take a picture of her hair every time she gets a retightening.
Yeah.
Every single time with her phone, and I take a picture of her hair.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on something that you said earlier. I think you talked about where it's important that they're walking billboards for us.
Yeah.
So they are walking advertisements. But I also want to touch on the fact that we care about your hair. Absolutely. We love hair. We care about your hair. And so we want you to have the best hair that you can have as well. So it is an investment that you made, and we want to make sure that we help you take care of your investment. So we're not going to give you any ill information that's going to take you the other way. So we just want to make sure that you guys know that we love you. We love your hair, and we want to make sure that you are happy with your hair. And so not only are you a walking billboard for us, but it makes you feel good. Yeah. It makes you feel good inside. There's not a person who has sister locks that doesn't get stopped on a daily about their sister locks. Not one person. Yes. Every single client that sits in my chair every day tells me somebody stopped them. They gave out my information. Someone complimented them. And people who, people who you won't even think will compliment you on your locks. So they are a beautiful thing. And so we just want to make sure that we keep them beautiful at all times.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I just want to say one last thing. Be careful during those stages, the different stages you're going through, what you're wearing.
Yes.
Be careful what you're putting on. So like a lot of shirts carry a lot of lint. So you want to be careful and mindful of what type of clothing you're putting on. You have the sweatshirts that might build those little balls.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
They attach to your locks. And it's important to know that different textures are more like magnet more so than the other.
That's true.
You know? So I have clients in the past who had a lot of lint buildup, but they didn't realize it was because of the clothing they were putting on. And it's hard to get the lint out. So
nearly impossible.
In the beginning stage, I can probably get that lint out and then kind of help it form a little more. But you got to be really mindful, again, going back to the oils and things of that nature, because it's just going to attract the lint from your clothes. So be mindful. I was very careful with what I was wearing when I was starting my locks. And even now, just so I don't want the lint to actually attach. So
Some helpful tips for that would be to, when you're putting on your shirt or your sweater, to put your scarf on, whatever head wrap that you have,
Yes.
put that on first and then put your shirt on, especially if it's a new t-shirt, like a new white t-shirt, your hair catches that lint. New sweaters, all of that, like
Yeah.
you said. And then I had a client that, had lint in her hair and she couldn't figure out what she was doing
she
wrong.
was
And
doing.
she said she had a new pillow. That she didn't realize that the stuff on the pillow was rubbing off onto her locks at night. So
Or pets.
yes,
That too.
yes,
And I'll tell you another thing that I do with my clients, and they'll all contest to it. They are not allowed to use towels to dry their hair. We don't use towels. Not me. Not my clients. We
This
use
is for
old
Shayla
t-shirts.
only.
Yeah, just me.
We use
We
towels.
use t-shirts. Yeah, they
I
old
use a
t-shirts.
turban type soft thing.
Yeah,
I don't
something
know.
that
It's not a
doesn't have
towel.
lint.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And old t-shirts don't seem to, because you've already, worn it lots of times and you've washed it lots of times. So they don't attract the lint. So that's what my clients wash with.
I say
Right.
just invest in a good towel, and then you shouldn't have the lint.
Well, the new towels especially have lint because if
Yeah,
you,
the new
when
Yeah.
that comes out, I would not suggest a new towel on your
Just
locks.
See, keep it
An
simple.
old towel.
Use an old t-shirt.
Anything old.
We're gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah, and that's okay too.
Follow your loctician's instructions.
Correct.
Ladies, do you have
Any
anything
other
else?
stages on the phases?
No,
Or
that was
we
the
good?
last
I
stage.
think
Yeah,
that's it for
we
me,
went
too.
from a baby and we grew up.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to our Lock Journey conversations.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Hey, make sure you follow us on Instagram at lockjourney_conversations to stay updated on class dates, install openings, and new episodes.
Our quarterly class is a 2-day hands-on training that we schedule throughout the year, and it's perfect for anybody wanting to grow their skills and get real practice on technique.
Don't forget about our group installs. This is where you can get up to 3 people on your head. We install your hair within 4 hours or less. It's fast, it's organized, and it's a great option if you want a quicker experience without sacrificing quality. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.